Flip, 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 Flip Weekly.
Hello and welcome to the Flip Weekly podcast. My name is Matt, I am your host, and we are here to talk about reselling. We're here to go to garage sales, thrift stores, Facebook Marketplace. We're trying to find items that we can resell on eBay, make a bit of money. And let me tell you, this week we have one of the best Facebook Marketplace pickups of maybe the past 12 months. You've read the podcast title. It's Harry Potter related. Let me tell you this. In the past 90 days, the most expensive Harry Potter book that sold on eBay was for $8,000 US. It was a first edition, first printing of the Philosopher's Stone. And the cheapest was a single copy of the Half-Blood Prince for just $2.95. Where do you think my pickup lands in this equation? Do you think we're towards the higher end, towards the lower end? I'm going to tell you in this episode. I'm also going to go through some sales. We're still in a bit of a slump for February. Well, February has ended. I guess March has started. We're in a slump. We're going to get out of it. We have amazing pickups, amazing sales, and let's talk about it. So it's been a bit of it's been a fast week, but it's also been a slow week in terms of reselling. You know that I celebrated my birthday on the Sunday, and I had my mum come down here to Sydney, a rare trip to Sydney. Usually it's to bypass Sydney, go straight to my sister's place. And we celebrated her birthday and my birthday. Her birthday was 2 days before. So we had it all on that Sunday. And we decided to go into the rocks, into Barangaroo, and just, get a feed. Have a good time. I am talking to you with sunburnt arms and sunburnt face. My arms are itchy as fuck. And I am feeling extremely hot. Yes, I need aloe vera. I think I've been told that 15, 20 times this week. I need some aloe vera. But look, just because we are sunburnt, just because we had a birthday weekend, doesn't mean that we did not kill it with items in thrift stores, Facebook Marketplace. No garage sales, of course. I don't know what it is lately that I just haven't been keen to go to any garage sales. Usually, if you look back maybe 12 months ago, every Friday night, I'm looking at garagesalefinder.com.au to find garage sales to get to. It's just not a thing anymore. I don't know why it is. If I think my time is better spent at thrift stores or scouring Facebook Marketplace. I think that's what it is. Look, Facebook Marketplace is essentially a garage sale online. You don't have to trek all the way out. You don't have to interact with... you do have to interact with people, but you don't have to go through their shit. You rock up for a marketplace pickup, and in most cases, it's hand the item over, and that's it. You don't have to talk too much. But yeah, not many garage sales. I haven't been to a single one this year. We'll see how the rest of the year goes. But look, Facebook Marketplace this week has just been, man, it's such a goldmine. If you're a reseller and all you have are the weekends, you have three choices. You can either go to op shops, and that's something I do not do on the weekend. The op shops on the weekend are filled with they're filled with too many people. They're filled with the people that I cannot stand. I literally overheard this conversation at a Savers not that long ago. It was two dudes shopping in Savers in like the knick-knack sort of appliance area. They were trying to find, I don't know, some fucking kitchen appliance, and one of the guys says to the other guy, you can buy one of these brand new from Kmart for $7. I don't know why you would buy it here for $6. And the friend literally replies with a bit of a cheek, bit of a grin, saying, that's the difference between you and me. I don't buy new things. I thrift them. And man, I fucking had like a chill go up my spine hearing that. It irks me so much, just the condescension and the looking down on people that buy things from new just because you're in a thrift store. Some people think they're saving the world when they're at the thrift, and in reality it's not. You're buying secondhand items. That's it. Nobody cares. You are not saving the world. That's why I don't go to thrift stores on the weekend. They're filled with people that I cannot fucking bear to be around. So you have that option. If you can only, do this shit on a weekend, you can be around those sort of people, or you can go to garage sales. That's a Saturday morning, driving around no idea what's going to be there. It's going to be filled with, let's be real, 9 out of 10 times, it's just complete shit. Or you can sit on your couch, be at, a family gathering, a family event, and just scroll Facebook Marketplace. You have your algorithm trained to find what you want, open up the app every now and again, and see what pops up. I've done that, man. Like, you don't have to be at home. You can be, at a family event, at a friend's place, and you open up the app and see what's around at that area, and then just excuse yourself for 30 minutes. I've literally done that when I visited Sam. There was this big family event. I can't remember what the fuck it was. I opened up Marketplace, and I saw this Nintendo 64 bundle with plenty of games, and I was like, I just have to go out for a bit. I'll be back in 30 minutes. I had no idea what the area was like. I just went out there and I got it, paid lots of money, made lots of money, which is the most important thing. So you have those three options. And lately, I've been leaning towards the latter, leaning towards the Facebook Marketplace. It's just been so fucking profitable. And this week, it's no different. It's been so fucking profitable. So I knew Mum was coming up on the Sunday, my birthday. So on the Saturday, I was busy as fuck. I was running around. I was making sure that my home at least looked not even presentable, just semi-okay. The bar is low. And I just wanted to make sure that Mum didn't get concerned. Most times when, if she's coming up here and I offer to drive her to Sam's place, we'll switch cars and I'll meet her down in the driveway type thing. So I just wanted to make sure that there was nothing that Mum would look at and be like, oh shit, And of course, she went in every single room that I wasn't even expecting. I expected, lounge room, dining room, kitchen, maybe the office. I didn't think she would be like, how's your bedroom going? I'm like, oh God, what's in the bedroom that I forgot to put away? And I was just like holding my breath as she's looking. So we had that busy Sunday. But on the Saturday, I was doing all that shit. I was making sure everything looked presentable. I was making sure that I had some stuff to give to Mum for her birthday. I did some no, I didn't do some balloons. I did some streamers. I did some presents. I did a cake. Did some wine. Look, I didn't go all out, but I put in some effort, right? So I do all that during the day, and then I come home, and of course I'm plonking myself on the lounge, and out of habit, just like last week, I pop open Facebook Marketplace. I don't want to go out, but Facebook Marketplace is just like one of the first things that I open up on my app. And what do you know? Up pops a listing that was honestly too good to ignore, right? It was a bunch of Harry Potter books. And I know what you're thinking, like Harry Potter. It's a big fucking deal, right? Like, it's just Harry Potter books. You can buy it in Kmart for what, $10 a book, or you can buy a box set from one of the overpriced bookstores for like $150. I know what you're thinking. Like, who gives a fuck? Unless it is like a first edition, first printing, signed J.K. Rowling Philosopher's Stone that you can get $10,000 for, it's not going to be worth it. Let me tell you, this deal was worth it. And before I tell you exactly what it is, afterwards when I secured the deal, I posted a photo of it on the Harry Potter subreddit. Now, if you're not familiar with Reddit, it's just like a forum filled with all different communities, and there's a Harry Potter community. It's just like a Facebook group, right? So I post a photo of what I picked up, and I titled it, "Is this a good deal?" And of course I knew it was a good deal, but I just wanted to see what their reaction was going to be. Within like 8 hours, it had been viewed by 42,000 people. It's currently at over 90,000 views, and the consensus from people was like 100% yes. There was one person that said, which sort of sums up the mood of the community, of being, and I quote, "I'm surprised this is a legitimate question. Yes, most definitely." Now, these are die-hard Harry Potter fans. All 90,000 people that viewed it essentially said that this was going to be an amazing deal. So what was the deal? Harry Potter books. I mean, I said that. It was a Harry Potter box set. The title of the Facebook Marketplace post, which was listed 15 minutes before I first messaged, saying the complete Harry Potter books box set collection with a dash and the suburb to pick it up from. Now, this was a Is it a well-to-do suburb? It's north from me in a pretty decent area, and it was priced at $20. This is every single Harry Potter book inside of a box set. About what makes this special. They're not signed by J.K. Rowling, if that's what you're wondering. We don't have all, 7 books signed by J.K. Rowling? No. What it is, they're all hardcover. They're all first editions. They're all the original covers. They're published by Bloomsbury, which is the printing company in the UK. Now, this box set was released in 2007. It's currently out of print. And when I saw this listing, I didn't know how much it comped up for. I just knew that it's somewhat difficult to get the original Harry Potter, like the first book, Philosopher's Stone, in the hardcover format with the original cover. Like, I can count on my hand the amount of times I found a hardback Philosopher's Stone. Actually, I honestly cannot count a single time. I can't count a single time I've ever found Philosopher's Stone hardback in a thrift store. Have you ever found a hardback Philosopher's Stone? I don't even think I've found a Chamber of Secrets hardback. I think when it comes to hardcovers, what I've found has been like Goblet of Fire onwards. And they're, to be honest, not worth that much money. But the earlier you get in the series, the more money you can ask for. So the photos in this listing, they look like they were in good nick. And I contacted the buyer and I immediately asked her to mark the listing as pending. And she agreed to do that. She agreed to do it right away. And this is so important when you're doing Facebook Marketplace deals, because even if it's marked as pending, people are still going to message, but it's not going to be as much as if it's not marked as pending. And people will offer more money, especially if it's worth a shit ton. So she marked as pending, and 5 minutes later, I'm in the car. I'm driving, I think it's like 30 minutes there, 30 minutes back to this bougie suburb. And she tells me, like, multiple people have messaged her after, but she's keeping her word. And I love to hear that with Facebook Marketplace, because it's so easy to blow others off on Marketplace. It's so easy to click the block button. Like, what are people going to do? They're just going to, they'll have your address, sure, but they can't really do anything. Like, you don't owe anyone anything on Facebook Marketplace. And if you break your word, like, you might get some negative karma if you believe in it, but who honestly gives a fuck? Nothing's going to happen to you. It's just like a karma thing. Like, if you do it, you just, I don't know. I was going to say you're a good person, but just because you accept a deal on Marketplace for an agreed upon amount, that doesn't make you a good person. It just makes you a person. This person put it up for $20. Somebody was coming to them and we're going to pay them $20. You don't get a pat on the back for doing that. If somebody offers more, you're well within your rights to say, like, I'm taking more money, and your only explanation to the original buyer is, well, they offered me more money. What am I going to say? Like, I need money. It costs a fucking living and all that sort of bullshit. With that said, I would never do that. But anyway, and I'd judge the fuck out of people that do. But whatever. You're well within your rights. So I get out there, and I said earlier, when you go to Facebook Marketplace pickups, in most cases you get the item and you leave. This was a woman that liked to talk. Might as well have been a garage sale. She was telling me all about her cat. She offered me a board game for free, which was Cluedo Junior. And I remember hearing in the back of my mind years ago that, like, when someone offers you something for free, you should take it. And that quickly ran through my head, and I was like, oh yeah, sure, I'm not going to pass this up. And I'm just thinking, like, what the fuck am I going to do with Cluedo Junior? I'm going to donate this. Like, why am I giving myself more work? I should have asked for something a bit more valuable. Like, have you got anything else you want to give me that is worth a bit of money instead of Cluedo Junior that is, like, open and probably missing pieces? So I have Cluedo Junior if anyone fucking wants that. Anyway, yeah, she gives me the free board game. She starts talking about her garden. She tells me all about accidents she's had tripping over the bricks. Her cat comes over. I learn all about the cat. All I'm thinking is, like, can I get the fuck out of here? And so I do. I get out of there. I go back to the car. I say thank you. I try and find a moment to leave to put in my, well, thanks for the deal. I'm out of here. She didn't even say goodbye. I think she was a bit upset that I was leaving. Oh, that was the other thing. She said that she grew up with these books, which is a bit weird because they were released in 2007 and this woman was older than me. And she wanted to keep them for her son, but the son didn't want them. The son was more interested in video games. which of course is hard to compete with. You know, what's better than your imagination? Something a team of people have conjured up and put on a screen. Put them in the car, get home. The comps for this, they're fucking insane. A box set, Harry Potter, 7 hardcovers, original Bloomsbury UK publishing, all first editions. Look, it's not $6,000. It's not the most expensive Harry Potter book sold in the past 90 days. It's not the $3 cheapest one. The comp that I'm looking at right now, exactly the same, probably in the exact same condition, sold for $1,250. What the fuck? The absolute cheapest you can buy this box set in Australia right now is $870, with the average price being around the $1,000 mark. And there aren't that many. You know, like I said, this was out of print since 2007. This set is almost like the default set that collectors want. So I'm thinking, what the absolute fuck? $20 marketplace pickup that we're going to list for $1,000. So honestly, what makes this any different? And I mean, I told you why, but just to reiterate, it's the complete set. They're all hardcovers. They all have the same cover illustrations. You look on Marketplace all the time and people have a set, but you know, there's different illustrated covers. Some might be paperback, some might be hardback. These are all the exact same. It's the box set too, so having it in the box alone makes a big difference. Plus, they're the first editions, but it's not anything to write home about in the sense that they're first editions because they're not early prints, you know, so it doesn't really matter that much. It's just a way to market it. You know, you can say they're first editions. I jump onto the Harry Potter subreddit. This is what I was telling you before. I post the image of the deal asking, you know, is this a good deal? Everyone coming back saying like, yes, yes, yes. And it's really obvious that in this subreddit filled with, it might be 100,000 people. It might be more. It might be in the millions. There are so many collectors in this area, and these people, they buy pretty much every single set that they can get their hands on, and they display them the same way people display, you know, their Pokemon cards or, God forbid, their Funkos. People do this same thing with Harry Potter books. And if you want to see some photos, go onto the Harry Potter subreddit or go to flipweekly.com and check out this newsletter. I've included a couple of photos of collections in there. But yeah, when I'm looking at these collections, like just picture a bookshelf, like a big bookshelf, and it's all just different variations of Harry Potter. What I noticed consistently is this box set is in pretty much every single collection. And this is, like I said, I think it's the default way to start collecting. You buy this box set. So that's why there's so many sold listings. That's why the price is so high, is because it's almost like an entryway for collectors. If you want to start collecting these books, get the box set. And then from there, you go out into the different variants. Like if you've gone to op shops before, you've probably seen the Harry Potter books that are themed in different houses. It's very rare to find like a complete set, but you know, you can see like, what is it, the green Slytherin books or the orange Hufflepuff ones. There's so many different variants of this Harry Potter set, and it just so happens that this box set is worth close to $1,000. Well, no, we have sold comps for over $1,000. So that's the thing, man. These Harry Potter collectors, they're serious, they love it. And just think how many fucking people love Harry Potter. Like even in 2026, everything that's happened with J.K. Rowling, there's still people that cherish these books. They just, you know, cut J.K. Rowling out of the equation. You know, love the art, not the person. So I've listed these up on eBay and Facebook Marketplace. As usual, Facebook Marketplace is cheaper than eBay, but on eBay they're up for $999.95. On Facebook Marketplace, a bit cheaper. And there are people watching this. It's had plenty of views already. It's sort of a bit bewildering that this is going to sell. Like it's a bit of a shock that you can buy something on Marketplace for $20 and flip it for $1,000. Like, is that not fucking insane? We're not going to thrift stores and buying something for $2 and selling it for $20. You know, we're getting something for $20 and selling it for $1,000. Like that ROI if this sells, I have to say if it sells because, I'm not in shock, but it's still hard to believe, right? It would be a bigger ROI than my biggest flip of all time, which were those Sonic Hedgehog books. That was $60, found in a Vinnie's, sold for $1,600. That was a 25 times return. If these sell 20 into 1,000, that's a 49 times return. What the fuck? 49 timesing our money. That is such a huge return. I mean, I'm racking my brain trying to think of a joke, insider trading in the US government, all that poly market stuff to do with Iran. Like, it's up there with those, like you can either put your money on the exact date and time that the Iran supreme leader is going to get assassinated, or you can put your money in fucking Harry Potter books from Facebook Marketplace. The returns are basically the same. Anyway, that was the big fucking find for this week. And look, we still do have amazing finds. We have thrift store finds that are going to be selling for over $100. We're so invested in keeping this average sale price high. I think we're at $144 at the moment. You might be thinking, weren't you at that last week, Matt? And the answer is, I think I was, because sales have just been so slow on eBay. I don't know why. I attribute it in a way to the Christmas hangover. But I mean, for the past 7 days on eBay, our sales have been quite low. Marketplace has been doing fire, man. We've been making money on Marketplace. You'll see that later when I tell you about Marketplace pickups that have sold for hundreds of dollars within a week. We're making bank. We're just not making bank on eBay. And I still haven't done my call. I told you last week that we had some low value stuff sell. I am very, very keen on doing it. I've got some ideas in my mind for, starting to create videos that are, actual worthwhile long form videos. And I don't know whether or not I want to cull the stuff before I do that, or if I, host a garage sale for content and as a way to get rid of, my low value stuff. So I'm in two minds, I'm wanting to get into, more video based content, even filming the podcast, if that's something that people would be interested in doing, in consuming. And then also having other content. I have so many fucking ideas. It's just I'm limited by the fact that I really don't want to be in front of the camera. I'd rather be behind it. I think I'm a bit wary about committing so much of myself to Flip Weekly. Even though I've devoted so much time to it, I don't know if I want to be like the face, if that makes sense. At the same time, I'm thinking like I should probably go all in, and all in would be doing the video content, and the culling would be a part of that, the garage sale, going out thrifting, going out doing all these ideas that I have, video-based podcast. I don't know why I'm saying this. This is not part of the, this should not be part of the podcast. If that's something you'd be interested in, you can always let me know. I'd probably be doing it even if you say no. I know that I polled the Flip Weekly newsletter early on to ask if they would like a audio-based version, meaning the podcast, and 99% of people were like, no. They enjoy reading it, and I was like, all right, well, I'll do it anyway. I think I was looking for some validation. But at the same time, some people don't know what they want unless you put it in front of them. So, yeah, anyway, we hit up some Vinnies, and we found something. I've never been more excited to find the board game Checkers. I think with the rise of the popularity of chess, checkers just got left behind. Do people even play checkers these days? I literally can't remember the last time I ever played checkers, nor do I think I can remember the rules of checkers. I know the rules of chess, played that for a bit, but in Vinnie's I found the Simpsons 3D Checkers from 1994. This was such a cool pickup because it was only $5, and as soon as I saw the artwork on the front, I knew that this thing was going to be old. It's so easy, at least for me, to tell whether or not The Simpsons is old or if it's new. And the difference really is in the detail of the characters. So I found this 1994 Simpsons 3D Checkers. I imagine the staff missed the 1994 on the corner of the box. The set was complete in the sense it had the playing board and it had the characters. It was just Bart and Lisa. Now, when you get the chess, obviously you have all of the characters. You have Homer, Marge, Bart, Lisa, Maggie, and a few more. because, you need the king, the queen, etc. Checkers, it's just Bart and Lisa. So we had all of those characters, the playing board. It was just missing the instructions. But, I mean, it's checkers. You can look up checkers online if you don't know how to play it. And I don't think anyone is buying checkers without knowing how to play, like, the game. So I had it all. $5. And when it comes to, like, old school The Simpsons, huge collector's market, it's the same when it comes to checkers and chess. Always buy The Simpsons checkers or chess. The Simpsons 3D chess from back in the day has sold comps at about $150. It ranges from about 120 to 150. And when I looked up the sold comps or active listings for the checkers game, to be honest, the listings weren't that strong. We had about a 50% sell-through rate. The cheapest was $46. However, none of these were within Australia. And I don't recommend doing this because it's got me in a lot of trouble in the past. But when you're first starting out, if you take like the lowest listing, which is the price and the postage, you can use that total as your starting price, and that might be including postage from overseas. Again, I don't recommend doing this because it's gotten me in trouble, and it really only works for high in-demand items. I did this with obscure toys, and they sat for ages because I was just listing them too high. But let's give this a go. The cheapest you can get this game flown into Australia is $86.12. That's our competition. If we list it for $99.95, the people that want this have a choice. They can save $13, buy it from America, wait a few weeks for it to come. International postage from America, it takes so long. I've recently bought something for myself, probably the first thing I've bought for myself in years. It was a Bill Burr poster signed by the man himself. It took like over 3-4 weeks to arrive. You're going to be waiting a while. And with, I was going to say the youth of today, with people today, nobody has an attention span to last that long. People want items now. You can go onto Amazon and buy items that will get delivered tomorrow. I've done that before. It's been 11 p.m. and I'm on Amazon. It's like, we can have this to you tomorrow. And I'm like, well, okay, let's do it. 11 p.m. at night time. What can go wrong buying something at 11 p.m.? So they can save $13 and they have to wait for it from America, or they can pay an extra $13 and they have it within probably a week, because I always ship the next day. So we're going to be aiming to turn that $5 pickup of The Simpsons 3D checkers into $99.95 on eBay, and of course a bit less on Marketplace. And this is a reminder to you, old school Simpsons, very collectible. Look up old Simpson illustrations versus modern Simpson illustrations. Get used to seeing the older version, and when you see it in store, when you find it in a thrift store, garage sale, whatever, pick it up. Because I found an old school Simpsons beach towel. I could tell just by Bart's face that it was old. And it was one of my most saved listings on Facebook Marketplace. It sold for, I think, almost like $50 just for a beach towel. This was years ago, maybe 12 months, no, 18 months ago. Huge demand for this sort of stuff. So make sure you pick it up. Moving on from Vinnie's, we're going over to Savers. This is a category that a lot of people overlook. This is the religion and spirituality bookshelf. If you have a feeling like you need some redemption, you're feeling a bit bad, go look in religion and spirituality section. Maybe pick up a Bible, or in this case, what is it? The antithesis of the Bible. This was Richard Dawkins' The God Delusion. Now, it's a paperback copy. I found it for $3.49. If you're unfamiliar with Richard Dawkins, he's previously been described as a professional atheist. And in the book, he basically presents an argument that there is no God. And of course, when the book was first released in 2006, created a lot of controversy, but also a lot of praise. I don't know where you lie when it comes to religion, but the fact that you're listening to this podcast, I know where you lie when it comes to making money. So this is a book that you're going to want to pick up if it's signed by Richard Dawkins himself, and that's what it was. Now, I first came across Richard Dawkins, it must have been 10, 15 years ago, when he appeared on ABC's Q&A program and debated child sex abuser Cardinal George Pell. In the episode, Richard Dawkins argued that a God does not exist, and that atheists can be like happy people, they can be moral people, and that the scientific theories, they're more likely than a God hypothesis. So in response to that, Cardinal Pell, who just before he died paid one of two boys he sexually assaulted a lump sum of money, he argued that if you don't believe in God, you can't possibly have any morals or be a good person. So whilst Dawkins can't prove there's a God, couldn't prove there's a God, and Pell can't prove that there is, Australia's Royal Commission into Institutional Responses to Child Sexual Abuse in 2020 did prove and ruled that George Pell knew about sexual abuse of children in the Catholic Church, but did nothing about it. But anyway, enough about that. If you can find a first edition, first printing of the God Delusion, the atheists that quote-unquote lack morals, they're going to pay up big time for this book. There's a signed copy of Richard Dawkins' The God Delusion, first edition, first printing, for $284. Now, we don't have that. We do have a paperback copy that is signed, and there's very little in Australia. I mean, somebody is trying to get $70 just for Dawkins' signature on a random envelope. We also have somebody in Sydney who's trying to sell a signed paperback copy of the exact same book that we have for $340. Now, that's a bit insane. Like, I know the signature is rare, and there's only 5 within Australia, but that's a bit too much. We're going to aim for, again, around $100. I'd be the cheapest on the market, and it is a cool signature. I've never seen it before, so someone is going to pick it up. This is going to be $3.49 into $99.95. So we have a few other pickups this week from op shops in that exact same savers. I'm aiming for that $100 average sale price. There was a little guy in the toy section. His name was Alfie. He was $4.49. This thing looks like a miniature robot with an LCD screen and a couple of buttons on the front. He's manufactured by Hasbro, but one of their brands called Play School. It's a pretty simple toy. He comes with like a bunch of interactive cards, and the cards are inserted into a slot on the front of the toy that activates some sort of quiz or educational lesson. The information comes up on the screen, has animations to engage with people, and I guess when it asks you a question, you give the answer by pressing a button. Now, it's nothing groundbreaking, but here in Australia, supply is limited, and you can get at least $100. However, if you don't have the cards are where the value is. You need the robot and the cards. Just the robot by itself is about $40. If you have the cards, you can get between $80 and $120. There's only 3 of these robots available in Australia. Only one of them has cards, and the price for that is $119. The robot that I bought had the cards with it, $4.49. I would be able to get at least $100 for him, maybe $120 like that other guy. But the thing is, one of the battery contact points, the little spiral things, is missing. So when you put a battery inside of the battery compartment, it just falls out. Like, it doesn't make contact. It needs a new spring. Now, obviously, I'm not in any way a DIY person. However, I did some Googling, did some YouTubing, as you do. It appears that if you get a paper clip and sort of get a pen, undo the paper clip, and then roll it around like a pen to make a spring, you can use that as like a hack job, like battery spring. So I'm going to try that. I just need to get a fucking paperclip, and of course you can't buy a single paperclip unless... Wasn't there a guy that traded a single paperclip for like a house back in the day? If only that guy was around, I'd be able to buy a single paperclip. But then it's weird, I don't have one lying around. Not a single paperclip. I need to go to Officeworks and buy fucking 100 of the cunts. Yeah, I want to try this out just so that, if it doesn't work, I'll just fucking get rid of it. But I really want to see if this hack works, because it would come in handy a bit later. Obviously, you'll have to report it in the eBay description that the battery spring, whatever it's called, battery contact point, is missing, and you've fucking replaced it with a paperclip. But it's good to know, right? Like, I'll have to report back to you next week if it works, so that I can then list this guy up for $100. If you want to see photos of what this robot looks like, go to flipweekly.com, or just type into eBay Alfie Play School and you should see what it looks like. I can't imagine kids would like this in 2026. Like, it has to be somebody buying it for nostalgia. It's just like the Harry Potter books and the kid with video games. Like, you have fully interactive, engaging video games on a full, like, 82-inch HD, LED, even a fucking 3D television, and this robot has a screen that's like 25 centimeters. Are kids going to actually play with this? I don't think so. I really don't think so, but somebody will buy it, I'm sure. I mean, there's Soulcom's active listings. There's not that many. We can give it a shot if I can get it working. Now, of course, it wouldn't be a Flip Weekly podcast episode without finding a jersey. This was a Fiji Olympics rugby jersey from 2016. It was found in Lifeline for $14. I couldn't find any sold listings, but I could see one active listing. It was for $89 with postage, which came out to about $100. It was in somebody's card. It had 6 people watching it. I've never seen it before, and because it was an Olympics jersey from 10 years ago, I figured, look, let's just buy it. It was size medium. I listed on eBay for $100, Marketplace $50. It hasn't sold yet. That's the thing with jerseys, man. They're just going to sell. I don't want to harp on too much about jerseys, but I do want to quickly talk about like sizing, because I know a lot of resellers would leave this behind. And look, I don't do too much clothing, but I think resellers that don't do much clothing would see medium and just be like, oh no, it's a bad size. People talk about good sizes, bad sizes. I just think that, what are the stats? Like, are these people just having their own personal bias? Like, I'm thinking surely there's like an even distribution among shirt sizes. And so I looked into it, and by looking into it, I mean, I did a Google search for most common shirt sizes. I opened up the first few results, and I'm basing my entire opinion on, that. But there was a website called Good Inc., which is a custom apparel brand, and they published results on 15,000 t-shirt orders. Now, this is in America, not in Australia. You would think they'd have more fat cunts than Australia, but their shirt size distribution counteracts that argument. But anyway, the point is, and I feel like I'm about to teach like a primary school class, is that people, they come in all shapes and sizes. So unless the sizing is like XXX small or fucking 7XL, I think the whole, it's a bad size, it's a good size, it's based on nothing other than like the reseller's anecdotal experience. It's not based on facts or cited studies. It's similar to the entire eBay SEO stuff, where people talk about eBay SEO as if they're fucking like hacking the algorithm. But this study showed that the difference between medium, large, and extra large, the percentages are so close. Like medium was 28%, large was 30%, XL was 20%, small was 7%, extra small was 1%, 2XL 2%. I mean, this is a lot of percentages for you to digest, but it just looked like medium, large, extra large, they're all basically the same. 2XL, basically the same. Small was less, and extra small was even less than that. So it looks like as long as you're going from like medium to 2XL, they're all sizes that seem to be okay. And even if something was small, like looking at the graph, it still takes up a decent amount of space. Like people are still going to buy it. There are still so many people that are size small, right? So I think this whole, it's a bad size is sort of bullshit. I think it's a bullshit argument. Unless, like I said, it's like 8XL, 9XL. There's only going to be very, very few people that wear that size. And they all sit next to me on airplanes. No. Anyway, I'll buy a medium shirt for $14. I don't care. I'm going to sell it for $100. That's fine with me. I'm not a size queen. There's a couple of other finds. I found a box set of CDs at Vinny's for $4. I've listed it for $100. If you want to see that, go to Flip Weekly newsletter. Here's a quick update though. There's an update about the Sony Walkman that I picked up for free off Facebook Marketplace last week. I said to you it was going to be a while before I gave you an update because the part that I was buying for it was coming from overseas and the landed date was going to be almost like mid-March. It defied expectations. It arrived quickly. This was a red Sony Walkman WM-FX10 that I got off Marketplace completely free. I talked about it in last week's podcast if you haven't seen it before. The guy gave it to me with the radio working. He said that the cassette wasn't working. He said that he had removed the old belt, or at least the drive belt was removed. And I've talked about this a lot on the podcast. When it comes to Sony Walkmans, I know how to repair the belts, or at least know how to install them. It's maybe the only thing I know how to do with Sony Walkmans, but it's so fucking easy. It's like playing Operation. The drive belt arrived, and so at 11 p.m. at night, I thought, what better time to start repairing this thing? I opened it up. I opened up the Walkman. This thing doesn't have any screws to pop open. It's just that well manufactured that just the plastic somehow sits in there. So you open up the battery compartment, you put your little finger in there and you wiggle it around, right? Just to get the plastic to separate. You do it very slowly. You do it very gently so you don't snap the plastic. You know, I'm the complete opposite of slow and gentle. Like, I shove my fat fucking fingers in there and I just rip it open, and I've never broken one of these things before. So you do that, it pops open, and then I can see the inside. I can see that the belt isn't there. I grab the brand new belt, which literally looks like a rubber band. You take that rubber band and you place it around like the 3 wheel things. I think they're called pulleys, but we don't really need to know the name of it. We just know they look like 3 little wheels. We play Operation. We get it around there. We do a little, like a DJ move on the wheels to make sure that they go back and forth. Everything looks fine. So we place the plastic back together. I went and got the cassette tape, put it in there, got fresh batteries. Never used the old batteries for testing because you don't want to test it with old batteries. It doesn't work, and then, you know, you're fucked. You throw it out when the issue was just the batteries. Got the new batteries, put the cassette in there, didn't fucking work. So look, I'm a one-trick pony. That's all I've got. You know, the drive belt doesn't work. Oh well, we're going to sell it for parts. It's a rare color variant. I can't find the red anywhere else. The radio still does work, so maybe somebody smarter will come along and buy it, and they can fix the cassette. Now, I did ask ChatGPT for some advice. They said, like, the next most common thing, I can't even remember what the word was. I think you can buy that part too. Maybe when I have more time, I will devote it to learning about all the different parts, because look, when it comes to this shit, you just like start from point A. If the belt isn't the problem, move on to the next thing. You can just keep buying parts for this. You know, 3D printers are a thing in this day and age. You can just get the parts 3D printed and that's it, you know. I just, 1, don't have the time. 2, don't really have the desire. 3, I think I may not be smart enough to really go beyond playing Operation. So that's all that I bought for this week. I didn't get out as much as I would like to. My car registration did expire and I was going to renew it on the day, but then I thought, you know, if I don't renew it, it actually keeps me at home. I've done enough for the week in terms of thrifting that I don't need to go out again. Let's just not renew it, be forced to stay at home, do some actual work, get shit done. But of course I'll need to get it done probably the day this comes out so that I can do some thrifting for next week's podcast episode. Then I thought, obviously, like, the whole video thing's in my mind at the moment. I was thinking, like, oh, it'd be good to do, you know, a video. When I'm talking about doing a video too, long form content, I'm thinking like full hour, right? Doing a video about, you know, thrifting without a car. How does that work? You know, I know not everyone can, you know, afford to have a car or even owns a car. Can you do this? Can you do this side hustle without driving around everywhere? And I know what it would look like. It would be a couple of walking trips to my local. It would be bus trips to, you know, Savers. I imagine if you don't have much time on weekends, you wouldn't be able to do that. Savers is obviously open past 5 p.m. So I think it would be a good series. But yeah, again, I don't know why I'm bringing this video part up. It's all internal thinking. I'm just spewing it out, I guess, because I haven't talked to too many people about it. But that's all I've bought. If you want to see photos of anything that I've bought this week, go to flipweekly.com. Check out the newsletter. All the photos are in there. Maybe in the future, the photos will be in my hand as you're watching the video, but or the items, sorry, not photos. But anyway, let's move on to what I sold. Let's take a look at the sales for this week. Like I said, eBay has not been looking too good, but we have been doing okay on Marketplace. Now, the first sale, if you're ever visiting my eBay store, which you really shouldn't be doing because I've never once given it out, you can see an item that has a light brown wooden desk background. Basically means I couldn't be bothered like taking the item to, you know, the proper light box area to take proper photos. It essentially means it's not worth getting up for, and that's what this first item was. It was bought for $2.99, sold on eBay for $50. I think I picked it up because I was hopeful and then disappointed. You know, I saw this item. It was totally full frontal best of series 2 DVD. I saw full frontal and I thought I was extremely lucky. I was so excited. I thought if I found this, I might be able to find like season 1, season 2, season 3, season 4. No, I didn't. Turns out it was just the best of version. It's not nearly worth as much as the individual seasons. Like, I'm looking at sold comps for totally full frontal series 2, $250. Series 4, $250. This is a TV show that you want to be picking up. I just was unlucky and I found the best of version, and I think I must have walked out fucking pouting with my head down. And I bought it anyway, maybe just because I was disappointed in the DVD. It's only worth $50, but keep an eye out for that totally full frontal seasons on DVD. I'll find it one day. In the meantime, my disappointment purchase has brought our average sale price down, so that's pat on the back to me. No disappointment though for the next sale. It was bought and sold in 7 days. It was a 1993 Manly Sea Eagles jersey that I paid $75 for, and it sold on Marketplace for $200 in exactly 7 days. I knew when I saw this Facebook Marketplace item it was worth more than $75 and that it would sell fast. I chucked it up on eBay for $300, Marketplace for $200. I didn't even bother to wash this fucking thing, mostly due to laziness, but also because I didn't want to ruin like another valuable article of clothing like I did, 3-4 podcast episodes ago. And that's the thing with these like jerseys and even vintage clothing. You really got to know your logos and your tags when it comes to these items. Massive shout out to podcast listener Rachel's Custom Sewing on Instagram. She reached out to me with an amazing score. It was a very early Sydney Roosters NRL jacket picked up in a thrift store. She paid just $1 for it. And if you look at the tag and the logo, if you want to see those, go to theflipweekly.com, check out the newsletter. The tag and the logo are the exact same as this 93-94 Manly jersey that I bought. So it's the exact same old tag. She bought it for $1. Do you want to know how much she sold it for? Let me give you the full... I'm going to read out the full message, right? So she sent me a message. She said, just wanted to say thanks for the tips on your podcast. I know nothing about sports ball, but I figured it... I recognized Sydney Roosters. It was a main enough team to count what you said. No jerseys, but I got the jacket for $1. No comps and an old team. So I chucked it up as $20, went for a nap, and woke up to many messages, including someone saying try $250. So I took it down. Without listening to the podcast, I definitely wouldn't have looked at it, but I kept getting asked if I was a Roosters fan. I said my partner likes it, which he does, but I didn't want any questions because I couldn't even say which sport it was. She paid $1 and she turned it into $250. And that's just from knowing, one, this old sports shit is worth a lot of money. 2, the tags. This applies to every single vintage tag there is. If you come across a vintage Fruit of the Loom tag, it's so different than the more modern ones. You need to know the tags. If you're doing clothing, you need to know that. And look, I don't do much clothing. The only clothing I really do is jerseys. So I know all of my tags for jerseys. I don't know my tags when it comes to basically anything else. I mean, I can do top heavy, Fruit of the Loom, all those other mainstream sort of tags. But if you're going to do anything in clothing, you really need to know your shit. But yeah, really cool pickup there by Rachel's Custom Sewing on Instagram. A couple other sales that we have here. We have a Nintendo 64 game that sold in a I got this in a bundle deal in December. It was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 that sold on eBay for $59.95. Those 64 games are always going to sell. And there was another one that I picked up from a Vinnie's. It was bought for $15. It sold on Marketplace for $50. It was the Lord of the Rings Shelob's Lair 32mm scale metal miniature. So it's the spider from Lord of the Rings as a metal miniature. You sort of build it. I don't know what you do with it after that. Display it, put it on a wall, scare someone with it. Yeah, the thing with those sort of like metal miniatures, it sort of goes into that Warhammer niche where if it's a hobby and it looks like an expensive hobby, like miniatures, building things, whether it's like plastic or the metal, they're always going to be worth a bit of money. So it's worth looking up or, just straight up buying it. I bought it for 15 from Vinny's. I think I had it on eBay for like $80. And yeah, somebody on Marketplace paid 50 for it. When we're having this dry spell on eBay, that's the beauty of having multiple platforms to list on. If I didn't have Facebook Marketplace, if I didn't cross-list some of my items on Facebook Marketplace or list some of these items exclusively on Marketplace, I would only have like 1 or 2 sales to talk about this week, if that. So I really recommend at least, cross-posting to another platform. If you're on eBay, try out Marketplace. I haven't done Depop. I don't know if I ever will. Gumtree is another one in Australia. I don't cross-list there anymore just because the user base was dwindling. eBay bought it. They haven't done anything with it. But really, if you're doing this as a side hustle or you're trying to lean into full-time, if you're not getting sales, if you have nothing else to do, why not try cross-listing your items to different platforms? What's the harm in doing that? When you get a sale on eBay, all you need to do is take it down from those cross-listed marketplaces. Like, get a sale on eBay, remove it from Marketplace, remove it from Gumtree, and yeah, I mean, it's pretty fucking easy, right? That's only if you have nothing else to do, I, again, don't have the fucking time to cross-post to all these platforms. I mean, I say that, but I think it's just me being lazy. It would take an extra 30 seconds to post my stuff on Gumtree, to be fair. I just haven't done it. Anyway, that's all the items that I've really sold for this week. If you want to see photos, go to the Flip Weekly newsletter, flipweekly.com. I do have some people that were supposed to be coming this week that I can't include it in the podcast just because of the publishing date of this. Someone was supposed to be coming for the WWE wrestling cage. Do you remember that pickup from a couple of weeks ago? Somebody offered 300. I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'll do it. It's on eBay for 500. I thought I could just take $300 for eBay. I have some bills that need to be paid. Someone else was supposed to be coming this week to pick up the Sydney Kings NBL jersey, which was going to be an extra $80. So we do have things in the pipeline. I just don't know what's going on with eBay. I was thinking maybe I could run a sale, or maybe I'm just maybe I'm overthinking it. I don't want to come up with any scenarios of why it's happening, except for the fact right now it's March, and who really wants to buy something in March? Like it's the beginning of autumn. There's no major real event coming up. My items aren't specifically things that people need. They're all wants. And because of the fact we're now averaging over $100, we have everything going on in the world. Who wants to outlay $100 when the fate of the world is fucking in the balance, right? When there's uncertainty in the market, people are going to hoard onto their cash. They're not going to be spending $500 on a wrestling ring or $1,000 on Harry Potter books. But who knows? Honestly, who knows? We're still going to list them up. I'm not going to look into it too hard. It is what it is. I do this every single week. We can't always have weeks where we're banking thousands and thousands of dollars. We really can't. It's a weekly podcast. There's going to be weeks where there aren't items selling for shit tons of money. It's just the reality of it. I'm not really that concerned. At least I'm not concerned about the money. I'm concerned about things to talk about. But at the same time, I'm finding items every single week. And we can talk about those because I'm always finding really cool shit. I love talking to you about the cool shit that we find. That's why the What I Bought segment always goes 10 times as long as what I sold, because who cares about things that we sold? It's all about the cool new shit that's coming in, right? That's the stuff that I get excited for. I really care about what's leaving from here. So that's what I sold, and that really ends the podcast right there. I would like to thank you for listening. If you want to see photos, go to flipweekly.com. Make sure you check out the podcast on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. We're all over the place on social media. We have videos, short form videos. I have so much fucking planned for this podcast. So much planned for Flip Weekly in general. I'm really keen for 2026. It's just going to take a bit to get there. The camera that I want to buy for the video content. You know, it's a 16 to 50 millimeter lens. It's going to cost like $1,600. And then you add in like the podcast studio space. I want to deck out a room in my place to, you know, make it look like a professional podcast studio. That means backdrops, lights, like everything that you can think of. And then even just the content that I want to make while I'm out and about, you know, actual thrifting content, long form that asks the question, solves the question, whether that's, can you thrift and make money if you don't have a car, like I talked about earlier? If it's, you know, the best time to go to Savers by going every day for a fucking week at 9 a.m. and then every day at 5 p.m. Whether it's seeing which fucking op shop in Australia has the best removable stickers. There's so much that I want to fucking do. There's so many different creative ideas that no one else is doing that I want to be doing. The only constraint is my willingness to, you know, be the face of Flip Weekly, which is something that I have never done with any of my enterprises before. I've always taken a back seat, you know, the amount of times that I've been invited onto different programs and I've turned it down because I don't want to have my, first of all, my privacy, and then being the face of a certain thing. Like, it was only this week that we were invited onto SBS's Insight. You know, this is a program that goes nationwide in Australia. Hundreds of thousands of views, if not millions of views on YouTube on their SBS on-demand program. That would have been really, really good for Flip Weekly, but it's just that internal battle of, I don't want to be associated. I don't mean to say I don't want to be associated with Flip Weekly. It's just I don't know. There's so much that comes with, I don't know, putting your face to a different project. And I know if I've put my face to different projects in the past, it's hard to, you know, move past some of those, just because of some of the controversial things I've been involved with in the past. Nothing bad, just, yeah. So, yeah, we've turned down SBS's Insight and Current Affair. We've turned down, you know, The Project when it was alive, even invited onto American television shows back in the day. Like, it's a bit tricky, and, you know, I've never been a very public person. This is really my first foray into, you know, creating content, and it's going okay with our social media. For example, hundreds of thousands of views in the past month. We're doing okay. It's just, we can do better. And if I'm going to stay in this niche, if I'm going to stay in flipping, we really need to go all in. So yeah, we got a lot planned. And 2026 is when I'm going to make it happen. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it when it comes to business. So yeah, that's about all that I have for you this week. Leave a comment, leave a like, leave a subscribe, follow on Spotify. Thank you again for listening. I'll see you again next week. This is Matt signing off for the week. Enjoy your weekend.
Flip, 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 flip.
Flip Weekly.